Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Carbon Scoring again. We needed another emergency. Ken, is it an emergency?
I mean, I don't know if it's an emergency, but like we've got a name for. I think this is the day, what I'm going to call the.
Did you come up with how long have you been thinking about this?
I just came to me earlier,
Hold
just
on.
like this is the day.
I need to
and
write
we
this
discussed.
down. This is the day. Are we renaming Carbon Scoring to we can't do that without Kit. Kit is not here with us today. Ken's here. Hello, Ken.
Hey guys.
And Kit, you've been ceremoniously replaced with Drew. Hi, Drew.
Hello, how's it going, guys?
Good. Drew, I
Doing
have to
good.
say off the bat here, you bring the most Star Wars cred to this podcast, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. I've read a lot of books. Ken's watched a lot of TV. And you've actually you've actually worked on Star Wars. Give us a little CV for a second.
Well, my first gig in comics was working on Dark Horse Comics Rogue Squadron comic.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I did 6 issues of that to start, and that was a real trial by fire, let me tell you.
The man.
And
did you draw the man, the myth, the legend, Tycho Chelu?
I did. I totally did.
That's my boy.
Nice.
He's in my squadron.
Oh, that's totally cool, man. Did they have him for the game, or did you?
No,
just
so
make him yourself?
we did a side pod on this one of Ken said we should pick a squadron of like if you had to have 4 pilots. It was right when Squadrons was coming out. If you had to have 4 pilots, who would you put? And we didn't differ too much. I think we all had Wedge. We all had
of course.
a lot of similar pilots, and the only difference was that I had stuck Tycho in there because he could pilot anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Actually, we all had Hera.
That's true. We all did
What's
have
that?
Hera. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Hera for sure. I didn't have Wedge.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Hera's a boss.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she could pilot anything too. Not as she's not a Tycho. You know what I mean? But. Oh
Yeah,
man.
I kind of missed that whole thing where all the X-wing pilots came from flying TIE fighters.
What
and
an
such,
amazing
you know?
piece of fiction to have created
Yeah.
in the comics of like, hey, all these dudes are kind of just like trained by the Empire and then they skedaddle.
Yeah,
I think that they had written that
Yeah.
into the book on Biggs also. Like Biggs had gone to the Imperial Academy and then joined the rebellion, and that's how Luke found out about it and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, that was actually a harsh realization when I realized that Biggs had been at the Imperial Academy,
Yeah.
not like it wasn't the Good Guy Academy. I mean, it's not like there's a Rebel Academy.
Right, yeah,
So
there's no
it's-
rebel. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a dumb realization when you think about it, because there's no Rebel Academy. They're like, come and be a rebel, like, they don't expect to be blown up immediately.
There's no commissioned officers in the rebellion.
I know, right?
Yeah. They have those little weird pips on them. So I mean,
Yeah,
everybody's a general anyway. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
That's true. There's an awful lot of generals.
Oh boy. Okay. We gotta
Yeah, so
keep on
sorry.
track.
am I going back to my CV?
Oh
Or are we done?
yeah. Finish this off, man. I mean, I would
Oh,
love
no,
to hear.
cool. I didn't want to take up all
No,
the
go
time.
for it. Because we're gonna
I
bug
just-
you again at some point.
Oh, that's totally cool. Well, just to get it over with quick, then I a couple of years after I did Rogue Squadron, I got called back for Star Wars Infinities, the first one that they did,
Cool.
which was basically a what if story
Yeah.
for Star Wars. Chris Warner wrote it. Had a really good story, and it was basically what if Luke had screwed up and not blown up the Death Star, and how everything goes from there. And that was a cool project. Interesting story for another time, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the day, I guess is what we're calling this now. Okay, so I think last season of Mandalorian, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I got this feeling that they knew they had 8 episodes. They knew they had A to B. The story was going to play out however it was going to play out. And if it was a movie or a Netflix style thing where they had to be 52 minutes or whatever, it was always going to be exactly what it was. And so when you watch the first season of Mandalorian, you kind of went with the flow, watched the progression, and at the first episode and the last episode, you said this was really fun to watch.
Yeah, all the way through.
But
Yeah.
there was no time in there where you got to episode 3 and you're like, hold up. There's an Ugnaught in this. We've got to talk about it. You know, like there's we didn't hit that point in episode 3 of Mandalorian season 1, but episode 3 of season 2 of Mandalorian, we have now hit the spot where it's like, hold on a second. We need to talk about this. I feel like, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I mean, I haven't had that moment because I think I'm pretty well recognizing everybody.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. I didn't realize that Queel was an Ugnaught right away. He was a little tall to be an Ugnaught, I thought.
Oh.
Yeah,
So when
I
they
mean,
said he was an Ugnaught, I was surprised.
yeah, I think like there's certain things that I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because he's wearing the hat, the helm, or
Yeah.
not, I don't know what you call it. It's like a flight helmet kind of. I don't know, but it's more of a cap, and he's wearing that, so that throws me off because I'm so used to like just the shaved bald heads, and they are shorter.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's like because I have an Ugnaught Lego, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's an Ugnaught, and I'm like, well, that's my cool figure until they make one. So I need to have him on the Razor Crest. So
it's the same thing that happens with everything over time. I think is the Ugnaughts didn't do much when they created, like they sort of turned their whole body and made Ugnaught sounds when they were in Cloud City, just like IG-88 sits and doesn't move, right? Like
Yeah.
it's
until he does, and then he's just like this badass bounty hunter, and you're just like, what?
Yeah, but like then you see IG-11, you're like, whoa, cool, an IG droid. Like, and so like maybe, you know, we saw one brand of Ugnaughts on Cloud City, and now you've seen Queel, and you know, people are different.
I could go with
heights,
that
you
there's
know?
different types and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the Bespin Ugnaughts seemed more like little pigmen to me.
Very
You know,
much
like
so.
they had like almost like little boar tusks on the sides of
Yeah.
their mouths and stuff. And Queel was a lot more civilized than that. And so that was not my first thought, was that he was an Ugnaught. I just thought he was just some alien.
Well, Queel also worked for the Empire, which is probably how, you know, he became not a squealing pig guy and also spoke basic. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
there's a chance.
Maybe
in
there's
there.
maybe there's more advanced Ugnaughts that are designed for, like, genetically designed for, you know, brainy work rather than just, you know, grunt work.
I'm waiting for the.
No pun intended.
I'm waiting for the
There's
Lobot
also-
helmet to show up on somebody.
Oh my God! Right?
But I mean, there's also like when we have, I want to say some, not Trandoshan, but some Trandoshans, and like different, like we have different skin paleted Twi'leks, and so
Yeah.
like maybe there's just
Oh,
a matter of
yeah.
like, oh, just different regional, like, oh, that's he's a northern Ugnaught or like, you know, whatnot, and there's just different regions, so there's like, okay, just from a different area.
How bad do you feel for Twi'leks born with red skin? I mean, they just have to be Sith at that point.
It kind of seems like it. Yeah.
I think I think those are like the only one we know of is Talon, right? Darth Talon,
Yeah, I
and
think
she was, those are tattoos, just like when you see Zabraks, and we've seen a lot of them in this season. And I should say in the series, we see a fair amount of Zabraks, and they're not all just red and black because they have natural skin color, and then the tattoos or make them red or whatever, you know, variance there is there. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, it's like the Deveronians though. Like you're kind of like, oh, you're just gonna be a bad guy, right? Like you're a Deveronian, which just feels
Just
bad and
naturally
wrong.
ugly.
You're just I've been like, oh, so you just have two red horns. You look like, okay, I don't want to judge you, but every character is like that I've seen that's a Deveronian is not the most upstanding character, and I'm like, we're kind of typecasting Deveronians here.
Although, isn't that on Rebels? Isn't Hondo's buddy a Deveronian, and he's got kind of a Russian accent, and he's kind of jolly.
Yeah,
And
but
he
he's kind of a
betrayed the
criminal, though.
rebels.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he betrayed the
Total
crew.
criminal.
True, that's
Yeah.
true. He was a punk. You're
And then-
right. You're right.
And I think about the one who worked with Quinlan Voss during the Republic series.
Oh, during the books.
And he had a buddy, and he was another
Oh, yeah.
smuggler. That's just like right along the same lines. I'm like, you guys are really playing to type, aren't you? Like this is,
If he looks like Satan, he better act like.
yeah, yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Well, hey,
Why
you know
wouldn't you
what?
trust me?
You know what?
Yeah,
to bring
come
it
on.
to bring it back to Mando, we got a Weequay that was just sort of a retired bartender type. He wasn't a criminal.
that we just called Weequay, which
Hey, that's their word, not mine.
like that's yeah.
That's on Cobb Vanth. That's not on me.
Yeah, that's really on Cobb. That's
Yeah.
I forget what the guy's name was now.
They just called him
They
Weequay.
called him Weequay. Cobb Vanth literally is like, Weequay, let's go.
Even though he's known him for years, like he's ever since the Empire fell, they knew each other because they show the whole video of them blowing up of the Death Star blowing up, and he was there. And then he's like later on, Weequay, give me some of the spotchka, and you're like,
maybe Weequay is like a Weequay word for like buddy, and we don't know. You know, like, hey bud, let's go.
Fair enough.
You know,
there you go.
At this point, I'm prepared to believe there's a ton we don't know, because I swear every time, you know, there could be a new Mando episode where something's just a little twisted off and a little different, and I'm totally prepared to go with it because it's not bugging me. And you know, maybe that's it. You know, if they told me that, you know, Weequay is the just slang for hey dude, I'm there.
All right.
Good enough.
Okay.
I wrote that for you, Filoni. You can have it for free. Speaking of bugs, let's talk about episode 2 real quick. Did you know that was a thing from Empire that had got cut? I did not know this.
With the spidery thing?
Yeah, so the spiders were supposed to be the original Wampa, and then they were like, they were like, that's too hard, and so they scrapped it for the Wampa.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was oh sorry, go ahead, Ken.
No, go for it.
Okay, cool. I was up at my brother's house in Oregon. We got to watch that episode with my brother and his family. And my brother and I both have pathological fears of spiders. And I mean, we just both hate any time there's, you know, I mean, like Lord of the Rings messed us up.
Yeah.
You know, like anytime there's big spiders in this stuff, it just freaks us out. So between me and my brother and all of our kids, there was so much screaming during that whole episode. We will probably none of us ever watch it again.
Let's dig into this childhood trauma now on the Mando hour.
Did you want to read Kit's synopsis?
Yeah, I'm going to go through it right now. That's exactly it. So Kit was kind enough to send us some thoughts, and I think we should use those thoughts as kind of like a guide to the episode. So Kit was saying it's kind of crazy how much punishment the Razor Crest can take, which I agree with. Although maybe we just haven't seen a lot of. Maybe in Rebels, did those clone trooper ships, they always just sort of blow up, or do they? I mean, because it's kind of like the same size.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure all the ships were either they very rarely, if they went down, they just went down, and that's it. Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. But you know, it's pre-Imperial surplus, so maybe it's got extra oomph.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
But he was mentioning that the whole episode kind of had the alien vibe, like Aliens, the second movie. And I think I tend to agree. It comes down to like the way that the eggs hatched had the green slime, just like the alien facehuggers had the green slime.
Yeah.
And so I think Kit probably more than a lot of people. I always take a pulse. I text Ken, I text the guys on the main pod, and I text some friends of mine that don't know much about Star Wars, and I want to know what people think about every single episode this season as it goes. And almost universally, episode 1 was beloved, and almost universally, except for Kit, episode 2 was pretty panned in terms of its,
Really?
Yeah. I mean, overall, what happened in episode 2? He flew. Yeah. He crashed. They fought spiders. There was a lot of controversy that we have to talk about egg eating.
Oh, yeah.
And then that was the end of the episode.
The public seemed to be very upset about the egg eating.
Well, Vanity Fair seems to be very upset about the egg eating. I don't know about the public.
Vanity Fair? I didn't see that.
Oh,
my
yeah,
God.
Vanity Fair.
Yeah. They had a whole article, people tweeting, and then there's also a tweet by someone at Lucasfilm that was then deleted saying like, oh, trying to explain it, but then they like, and it's all a matter of context.
That's the one that got
Vanity
me.
Fair had to delete it.
We could foreshorten this, but so we'll go through Kit's thoughts real quick, and then he was really happy to see the X-Wing pilots back from season 1, although only one of them, right? It was Filoni and a new actor to play the X-Wing pilots.
It was Paul Sun-Young Lee from Kim's Convenience. He is a fantastic actor. He's a Korean Canadian actor. He's been on a wide variety of different movies, but right now he's doing Kim's Convenience. He's also a huge fan of Star Wars, Ghostbusters. He's part member of the 501st.
Oh, so
Um,
so the X-wing
yeah.
pilots are
Oh,
going to
wow.
get this role from now on, right? Like it's always going to be some sort of Greg Gunberg style you're a fan of Star Wars inclusion role, right?
You talking about Snap Wexley from the Aftermath series?
This is the Snap Wexley role from now on in
Yeah.
Mandalorian. Is we got to bring in celebs that like Star Wars. Either they play stormtroopers or they're X-wing pilots. That's it. Or
Yeah, I totally dig that though. That's
Yeah.
cool. It's kind of fun to see, like, can I guess the stormtrooper voice or
yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
You know what?
And
Star Wars should be fun. It's fine.
Yeah. I love it because it also harkens back to them for the season finale last year of like, oh, well, we need more stormtroopers. We only have so much armor. How do we get more armor? And they're like, we'll just call the 501st. They'll send out a garrison. And now we have another 30 guys to make our scene look badass. And it was.
A lot.
And like, this is because, I mean, Paul's a fantastic person. Like I have a little bit of experience with him talking to him, but he is just super cool and such a diehard fan that you're like, oh wait, okay, you bleed Star Wars just like me. Let's get you on the screen.
He didn't do he did a great job as that pilot
That's
to
awesome.
offset Filoni's non-acting acting.
True. Fair enough.
Whatever the reason to
Yeah.
bring him on the show was a good call. In general. So we'll sum up Kit's thoughts here. His random thoughts. What do that many spiders eat? Why does Baby Yoda eat so much? And why do the pilots just leave him on an ice planet? Thoughts?
So, Drew, I've got answers, but go for it.
I don't want to know what they eat,
That's a
like
good
what
point.
what the spiders are eating, because that means there's got to be a lot of webbing involved, a lot of like giant insects.
Yeah.
I can't hang with that, so I'm just gonna not think about that ever again. And my question about all the egg eating is, why in the hell didn't the mom seem to notice that so many of her offspring that she cared so much about were gone?
Exactly.
That's just, and like, and the dad shows up in the next episode, and he's like, "Hey, everything's great." There's no, why are there only 7?
I think there's a lot. So the internet outrage, we could start here and then we got to get off of episode 2. But the internet outrage about eating eggs, the Lucasfilm guy goes, "Hey, they're not fertilized. It's just like eating a chicken egg."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you
had
can
to
make
think
that
about
argument, I guess, but then there's the counter argument that chickens don't talk back to you and tell you things about their dreams and hopes and their family line. Like,
That would be upsetting.
it would be upsetting then to then be like, "I'm still gonna hard boil your kids though,"
Yeah.
like.
Well, I asked
But
you this: do you have chickens, Andy? I mean, have you ever tried to have this conversation? Maybe they do.
I've had one conversation with a chicken and it ended up pecking me on the hand. I have a scar.
And then you eat its.
I have no
its
problem
eggs
eating
with
a chicken egg.
impunity.
No,
It's like,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. Overall, I think that stuff is way overblown in terms of like. Look, there's a lot of people with personal experience that got very upset, and you can't negate people's personal experience, but you also have to make the argument that a piece of art doesn't entail taking in everyone else's personal experience at the same time. And so I don't want to get too deep into it because it's a conversation I don't think we need to have on this podcast. I honestly don't. It's like too much unless you feel differently.
Honestly, I feel like in 2 episodes, we're going to forget about it anyway. If enough cool stuff happens, we're all going to just be thinking about that. So,
Yeah.
I think we got stuck with an episode where not a lot character-wise happened. We just saw the kid doing a thing we hadn't seen the kid doing before, and it bothered us because it was just, that was where your head's sitting, because there's not a ton of other stuff besides the horror element of the chase from the alien spiders.
I have a
I hadn't thought about that aspect.
I have
That's
a
definitely- 'cause
critical theory about this, Ken, and you weigh in on whether you think it's true based on your reading aside from this, because I don't know much about the Yoda species, but the critical reading of this is, don't complain about it. Just think about it for a second. In the first season, he chokes people and tries to hurt people with the Force to help out his ostensible dad, right? And in this season, he's already started off by just like eating. And he ate last season. He ate live frogs and all sorts of stuff. The idea here is that he has no moral compass. He's not a Jedi. Like, everyone looks at him and thinks it's a baby Yoda, and therefore he should behave that way. And Filoni and Favreau have both said they do this stuff to off-put you. He can't be cute all the time. And like, if he was a Jedi, he wouldn't eat meat, right? I don't know if that's still canon, but at a certain point that was canon, that they were vegetarian. And so, like, the idea that he has no moral compass yet until Din or someone else teaches him not to be evil and use the Force for evil, he's going to do things like, I'm going to use my Force to pull those baby eggs over here and eat them because they look tasty.
Also, I think that you're imbuing, not you, but just in general, saying that that's evil is also imbuing some negativity with it. When he chokes,
Cara Dune.
He's in his mindset, he's protecting his father.
Absolutely.
So it's a protective in like reaction. So it's like, I don't see that as necessarily evil. Like, most of what he's done has been as I mean, and I think that is, they do want to walk that line, but it's definitely been more, I mean, if at most it's more, chaotic neutral than anything else. If you're looking for like placement on a D&D scale, like, it's not necessarily evil. It's just, it's protective, or, it's lawful. Just again, depends.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like you said, they're trying to make us identify and see. And I think that there's, like, with what you say, there's a lot of what just young children will do. Like,
Absolutely.
I remember just like certain classes talking about, like, oh, when a kid feels something, they feel something 100%. Like, when a child looks at you and says, I hate you, they hate you with every fiber of their being. 5 minutes later, they're going to love you because you gave them a granola bar. But, like, in that moment, that's all their emotions they have. And then in that 5 minutes later, that's all the emotions they have. They love you, and just to the core of their heart, because that's, their emotions are just like that. And that's what, he's still a child. That's why, I mean, we call him the child for that reason. So he's still emotionally just there, even if he's 50 years old or 100.
Yeah. I think you have to put it on Din and on the mom, being like, well, why doesn't Din, like, take the crate away and move it somewhere that he can't get at it? And why doesn't she, like, if it's that important to her, have it with her, right? And then you just move on with your life, because it's not worth thinking about, because episode 2 is not the episode we should be talking about. It's episode 3.
Yeah, but I will say there's one nice thing that Kit said is, why didn't the X-Wing pilots help him?
Yeah.
At that point, though, they do just say to him, like, we saw that you were in this area, but it also looks like you did you helped. So, and he's like, why don't you help me with this? And they just leave. He never identified that he had anyone else with him. As far as they knew, he was just essentially a better than most smuggler, doing his own thing. They're like, you know what, you get yourself in this trouble, you get yourself out. If he would have said, I have a passenger who needs help, he didn't say that. So they didn't have any other information aside from, you're a morally ambiguous guy who, we're not going to help you, but we're not going to, like, damn you either. We're going to, and so them leaving without additional information is not 100% on them. Like, if you would have said, like, I've got a passenger who needs help, oh, okay, well, then maybe we'll stop and help you.
I also get the feeling that these pilots are not, and Drew probably has a thought here because of his experience with X-Wing pilots. These are not the X-Wing pilots of yore. These are not the Rogue Squadron X-Wing pilots that are going to go out of their way to do the right thing. They say in that episode, hey man, this is the New Republic. It's like, they're just sort of space cops and X-Wings. They're not like holier than thou rebel Avengers. You know what I mean?
I think actually, I think it would seem like, with the New Republic having to come online so quickly after the disintegration of the Empire, that they don't have a lot of staff. So they're going to have to recruit raw pilots, and due to don't have a whole lot of training in law enforcement or even space consideration, if that's a word or a term.
It's a word now. And I'm writing down space consideration.
But I also, one thing I'd like to touch on, as it occurred to me while you guys were talking about the child, I think that Din Djarin didn't say, "This lady needs help. I got somebody who needs help here." I don't think that he stopped the child from eating the eggs because I don't think he thinks like that. Like he doesn't necessarily want the child. He doesn't necessarily want the passenger. He's not a guy who's used to being placed with people with him in his care as much as just quickly carbon freezing them and turning them in for money. So, I feel like compassion versus just doing him is a new thing to him. So you're not going to get him looking out for anybody's best interest. I think he's still got a ways to go in his character arc before he's really reached a point of compassion.
That's a really good point. Yeah. He's also, I think a lot of people are more worried about the story than his arc, right? Like he's wearing a helmet. It's really hard for people to see a change in a character that doesn't change.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, he changed his armor one time when he got new Beskar, right? Like,
Yeah.
Unless somebody adds something to his armor or something, there's no physical manifestation of what the Mandalorian is until you watch all the episodes. So,
yeah.
All right. Kit's note for episode 3 is now we are talking.
It's true.
Did you know, Ken, and keep it from me, that Katie Sackhoff was in this episode?
I knew that she was going to be in this season, and I knew that I knew who she was going to be playing. Obviously, obvious connections.
Okay.
I didn't know it was going to be this episode.
I appreciate you keeping
feeling
this from me because this was a spoiler I did not have, and seeing her pop up on the screen. I mean, I know how confusing and unexciting it is now for a bunch of people that had not watched Clone Wars or Rebels to see a character pop her helmet off and be like, okay, there's a red. Oh, that's Katie Sackhoff, or like, oh, there's a redheaded woman there, and for me to be like, yes,
that is pretty darn rad.
It is rad. Yeah. I mean, there's a definite canon split here in episode 3 of people that were kind of like, huh, okay, well that was 30 minutes of like Mandalorians meeting each other, and then there's the 30 minutes of the rest of us being like, wow, what a moment, we got to talk about it.
Oh, well, yeah, because I mean, if you think about like as you're saying, if they haven't watched the Clone Wars, then the idea that I mean, it seems like she kind of basically said he was a member or a member of the cult of the Death Watch,
right? Yeah,
the Watch,
Clone Wars.
The Watch, yeah.
So they don't know what that is. I mean, people who aren't familiar with the Clone Wars don't know what that is.
The Death Watch has had one mention in Mandalorian, and when Din says that he was taken in by the Death Watch, that's it.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah. When he was talking to somebody about his history, he says the Death Watch took me in.
I think it's during when he's talking to Griff and Cara Dune at the end of season 1. He talks about how he was taken into his culvert and stuff.
And if you listened, not you specifically, Drew, but if other people listened to this show at that point in time, I was like, Ken, you got to explain this to me because I don't understand. If he was taken in by the Death Watch, this is we went through the Clone Wars, the Rebels, everything. And I was like, I don't understand what Death Watch would have taken him in at that point in time, and also where this helmet thing came from and all that sort of stuff. And the payoff in this episode for being like, why don't they take their helmets off? This is really frustrating for somebody that just watched all these shows before The Mandalorian. I watched Clone Wars right before this. They all take their helmets off. What is the deal?
Yeah.
I mean, we had discussed it at the time, and essentially it just and it breaks it down a little bit in this as well. Is that they're orthodox. Like you have some religions that are like, oh, we're Church of the New Christ and XYZ, or we're Reformed, and there's so many different offshoots. And that's one thing too that's clear that I want to mention to be clear about is that they mentioned that he's part of the Watch, not Death Watch, which I think essentially evolved into the Watch, or at least a segment of it.
It's got to be connected, right? She's saying a different name, a pejorative name. Yeah, for the organization that molted out of whatever was left over after Rebels, right? Like that organization's destroyed after Rebels.
I was gonna say
after the Purge,
Death Watch. Yeah, they had to be, because I mean, in the final episodes of Clone Wars, like all those guys took a dive.
I guess during Clone
Rebels.
Wars, they're a shadow of themselves. Maybe that's where they splinter off, because that's when Din would have been picked up. There's battle droids in his memories.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
let's talk about it for a minute, because I want to do something that I did on the other podcast, Ken, that's going to make you really mad. But you got to fix it now on this podcast. And Drew, do your best to help out. People were trying to understand what Bo-Katan wanted. Also, they asked me if Bo-Katan was one word or two.
It's two.
It's two. I know that it's
I thought it was two. Yeah.
it is two. I had to explain it, but like, that's one of those things.
Yeah. It's like if everywhere I go, everyone just calls me Ken Rolo. Like that's the full name everywhere you go. And it's like no one's just like, oh hey Bo.
Hey Bo.
Like,
no one ever says hey Bo.
Yeah.
Also, she has a different name than her sister, so there's that. Okay. I had to explain to a lot of people, A, what a Darksaber was, and B, that's what she was talking about the whole episode about wanting to get back from Moff Gideon. Which a lot of people were very excited to see Moff Gideon pull up in this episode at the very end. And I was too. It was a really great hologram. I don't know if you guys got the same kind of like chills / smile that I got when he comes on the thing. He's like, cool. You know what you got to do. And the guy just blasts, like that was a good moment. And everybody I talked about the groups beforehand that I text. Everybody in all the groups was very happy to see Moff Gideon show up in that capacity and be like, okay, well, good. We have a recurring bad guy. I know who it is. I feel safe. There's a warm blanket for me. But then
I just thought, sorry.
They kept saying like, what is it? She kept saying it. Where is it? What does he have? What is this? And I was like, okay, so she's talking about the Darksaber. And then I had to explain the history of Bo-Katan and the Darksaber. And I did it off the top of my head, Ken.
Wow.
No, not wow. Oops.
Oh.
Help me help them. Here's what I did.
Okay.
I started with the Clone Wars and I said, okay, so Bo-Katan's sister, whose name I can't remember, who was Obi-Wan's pseudo girlfriend but wasn't,
okay,
was in charge of Mandalore, but she was a pacifist, and Bo-Katan was mad that she was a pacifist. So she went and joined forces with Pre Vizsla, who had the Darksaber.
It's Pre Vizsla. Go on. By the way, it's also Bo-Katan Kryze.
Oh, she cuts off the Kryze?
Yeah, she cuts off the Kryze.
Kryze is her sister's name.
No, also, her sister's name is Satine Kryze.
Right. Kryze is the last name. Okay, Kryze.
Yeah.
Also, Jon Favreau was the voice of Pre Vizsla.
Yes, he was.
And the voice of
Vizsla's the son or cousin or whatever.
Descendant.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Who also ends up with the Darksaber.
Wow.
Okay, you're gonna get here, Drew. But you're gonna watch me do it, and then you're gonna keep interrupting like you're doing, because it's gonna be great. Okay, so Bo-Katan Kryze is in charge of the Night Owls, who joined the Death Watch with Pre Vizsla to create an insurgency against the pacifist government of Satine Kryze, but they don't really hurt anybody.
Not much of a Death Watch.
I know, but Death Watch was kicked off of Mandalore because they were too extreme.
Yeah, and Bo-Katan wanted to go back to the old ways.
Yeah, the old ways of conquering stuff. Okay, so we got that far on the first pod, and I was very confident. And then Darth Maul shows up, and it all goes downhill from there. So Darth Maul shows up with the Shadow Collective. I'm doing this from memory, man. You got to give me credit. And uses Pre Vizsla.
You're doing better than me. I didn't remember the Shadow Collective.
And then uses Pre Vizsla and the Death Watch secretly to overthrow Kryze through Kryze's advisor.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, some of Kryze's some of Pre Vizsla's lieutenants.
Yeah.
Essentially they're I mean they take over Mandalore together. Like there's definitely some of the collective and the Shadow Collective and them working together with the Death Watch to take over and incite certain battle attacks on a Mandalore,
Right.
and then that's when Previously comes in, is like, oh hey guys, I'm here, I'm the cop, I'm gonna save you all, and
I can fix it, just me with my dark saber.
And so
then Kryze, Satine Kryze, the queen, is overthrown by Pre Vizsla, who rules, but Darth Maul rules from the shadows. Yes?
Yeah.
This is where I started to get a little sticky.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is we're.
Then we cut to the final season of Clone Wars. Obi-Wan. No. Oh, I missed.
Because we're something. Yeah, we're so during the during the original Clone Wars series, Vizsla decides, I don't necessarily need you. Like, you know what? You're not in charge of me. We're partners. And like Maul's like, no, you're not. You're my subservient. They battle. Pre Vizsla dies at the hands of Maul. He takes the dark saber.
Okay, so Vizsla dies then, and Maul gets the dark saber. Okay. Yeah. I thought that came at the end.
No, it's at the end of this earlier seasons, but the newest stuff that just came out, season 8 or 7.
Maul already has the dark saber, and he's in charge.
Maul already has the dark saber, and he's in charge, but he's still using other people as his.
He's still hiding,
puppet government,
so people don't know that he's there
from the shadows. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the
so
Mandalorian
I mostly got this right up until now.
Yeah.
Okay. Last season of Clone Wars, they catch wind that Mandalore is in trouble, so Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka go back. They meet up with Bo-Katan there.
No Anakin.
Yeah.
Just Obi-Wan and Ahsoka.
Ahsoka goes on her own because it cuts off to Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan and Anakin split to go to the battle at the beginning of
Obi-Wan has to be somewhere around because Kryze dies at some point.
Oh yeah, that's
that's earlier.
Clone Wars.
That's in the earlier Clone Wars that Kryze dies.
Yeah, it's like season 5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Satine Kryze. Yes, not Bo-Katan.
Satine dies. And also Darth Maul's brother gets killed too.
Oh yeah, the brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
Savage
when Satine...
Opress.
Savage Opress, the worst name.
Oh god. Well, no, because there's also like something Sleaze Bago, and so there's like Star Wars is littered.
Yeah, there's so many on
atrocious
the nose names.
Bad names.
Savage.
Yeah.
Savage Opress.
Forget the Opress part, but just Savage. Changing Savage to Savage.
Double. It's doubly bad. It's just like
bad. Okay. All right. So Satine Kryze is dead. Darth Maul has the darksaber. We go to the final season. Ahsoka goes alone, which I messed up, to take back Mandalore. A lot of people die, including people that fans fell in love with the first time they were on screen, and then they die. So I don't understand that part with the new commanders and stuff. But whatever. I'm digressing. Darth Maul gets captured with the help of Bo-Katan because she shows up to help Ahsoka.
Well,
I've already got a correction. Go for it.
Ahsoka initially has a big face-off against Maul.
Right, yeah.
And then she captures him.
Right, yes. At the end. Yeah. But she has help of Bo-Katan and other people to help take over the rest of Mandalore.
They go and they fight the actual war and and then it's a one-on-one of Ahsoka versus Maul, and the whole time they're unraveling Darth Sidious's plan, and he's making it plain to Ahsoka what's been happening.
Very good.
And that's one of the reasons why I know right away that I really remember is that Anakin's not there, because that is what Maul wanted.
Right.
Maul wanted Obi-Wan and Anakin there so that he could be uncovered and be, hey, this is what's about to happen. I want you here to unravel his plans because I hate the Emperor now because he killed my brother.
And he left him. Remember, he tried to reconnect with him once he took Mandalore. He's like, look, I took Mandalore. And the Sidious was like, yeah, you're a loser.
Well, he's also that's when he went there to take him, he also imprisoned him. Yep. And then, the comics, they actually do this in the comics, which was going to be a couple episodes. They also cover where he breaks free thanks to the members of the Mandalorian, the Death Watch but the new loyalists that have have all the horns and stuff on their helmet.
Yeah, the pointy.
Oh yeah.
Pointy armor. Okay.
Yep.
The darksaber goes to Bo-Katan.
At that point,
Yes.
actually,
That's
Right.
I
actually
don't
a
know.
really good question because Bo-Katan didn't have it
Right. So like, where does this?
at the
This is
time.
where I got lost.
I think it
I
gets
don't
lost.
know. I don't know where it goes
I-
from there because then I said, okay, then you skip to Rebels,
Mm-hmm.
and Vizsla's cousin or whoever has the dark saber.
So maybe Bo-Katan never had it.
No,
No.
no. At the end of Rebels, Maul still has it because I'm sorry. At the end of Clone Wars, Maul still has it because we end up finding it in Rebels in
Oh, in the
Maul's
cave.
caves,
I forgot about
and
this
that's
entire. See, okay, see, this is where I forgot about this entirely. I forgot that Maul leads them to it in the cave because they want Ezra to go to the cave so the witches can overtake Ezra or something, or Sabine.
Maul. Yeah, Maul wants
I,
him there so he can turn him.
this part is very
But
confusing.
it ends up being that Sabine finds it, and then
Right.
the spirits of the Night Sisters overtake Sabine and Kanan, and they attack
Ezra.
Ezra.
And Ezra figures out how to get him out.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's like once they move past the threshold of the cave,
I lost track
they
in
would be-
here. This is where it got fuzzy to me entirely. So then Sabine has the Darksaber. Sabine, who betrayed Mandalore by creating a weapon for the Empire to kill Mandalorians, then goes back to Mandalore to try and free Mandalore because she feels obligated. Bo-Katan is there. They fight a bunch. There's still an insurgency. Sabine's mom is like sort of in charge of
Yes.
Mandalore,
Yeah.
but
she's in charge. She's in charge of her house.
her house is
that's
also
right.
in charge, kind of.
Her house was essentially deputized
You're right, yeah.
by the Empire, but then there's I want to say another the guy because I remember he had white armor with red highlights.
Vizsla.
He may have been another Vizsla.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but yeah.
the
And so
other
he was
tries
Yeah.
to like say, hey, no, the Praetorian Guard or whatever, the Empire that are also Mandalorians won't let you free Mandalore and all that. And they have this huge war in between themselves in which Sabine decides that her family's not so good at being in charge, I guess. And so she gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan because she doesn't want to be in charge anymore of the Darksaber. And the Darksaber means that
Yeah.
you're in charge of Mandalore. So she hands it off to Bo-Katan.
she believes that she has the stronger claim and
Right.
that she has the strength to carry that
And
because of her sister and stuff. Yeah.
That's the last time we see the Darksaber.
Yeah.
And between then and now, more bad stuff happens on Mandalore that we don't know about, and Gideon gets the Darksaber.
The purge. That's what we talk about.
It
Is like,
sounds. Oh, sorry.
I'm saying that's what they keep referring to as like the purge of Mandalore. That's when the Empire took all the Beskar. That's when the Empire laid waste to the land, and then that's why Din says that it's a destroyed land, like it's cursed. There's no point in going back.
But no one's
And they're
really
like-
ever
Yeah.
explained it, right? In canon.
No,
canon,
we haven't
yeah.
had it. We haven't had a full disclosure of
I-
what exactly happened.
Yeah, I think we could expect to maybe see a flashback to that, if not this season, then next.
I don't know. It's not a huge flashback kind of show, though. And there's only 5 more episodes.
Yeah, that's true.
And you got to do Din's story. That's what people are there for, right? So the real worry that a lot of people have voiced to me, outside of people that are really excited to see the characters show up again and be like, oh, cool, night owls, is this where they're headed? Are we going to have to sit through a bunch of Clone Wars stuff? Or is this a side story that we're done with until the end of the season or something like that? I worry.
Oh no, I think we're gonna have. Well, I mean, how much are you okay with inferring from what we heard during this episode?
Oh,
Because I have
think
out
it's
of
fair game.
I've
right?
out of
Like,
Cal-
no casting news, no Hollywood Reporter, none of that. If you heard it in the episode, I think it's fair game to say I have an inference based on what we heard here.
Yeah. Well, that's gonna be say what we heard here is that she said go to this place and meet Ahsoka Tano.
Well, yeah.
So
Which is more.
I mean,
Clone
we
Wars
have
stuff,
that.
right?
Right, exactly. That's more Clone Wars stuff, and yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing there. So I mean, we're still gonna have. I mean, I don't think Din leaves a child with
With Ahsoka?
Ahsoka yet, because I don't know if he's ready to detach from that, because he's as much as he's a stalwart standalone person. He goes out and does his own missions. He's always had his clan, and right now he's essentially a clan of two. That's what the armor says to him. Like, right now, this is you. This is your clan. So this is who you're with until your quest is over. And I don't know if he's going to be okay with giving that up and departing from the child and be like, okay, well, I guess you take him now. He feels an attachment, like, and that's younglings or something for him, I should say. Foundlings are something that mean a lot to him, because he was a foundling. He was adopted, so that he may not be so quick and ready to be like, yeah, go ahead and here, take the kid. Let me go back to just being a bounty hunter. This is fun. Like, he still doesn't even know where his place is, because he finally meets. That's the thing we didn't touch on. He meets Mandalorians, and because he's inexperienced in the world except for his culvert, he's like, they take off their helmets, and he's like, "Where'd you get that armor?" Which I think is a really good moment for him, because he just experienced it with Cobb Vanth, and then he's like, "Where'd you get that armor?" And then she's like, "This has been my family for centuries. Like, what are you talking about? Like, how dare you?" Kind of like, I'm a Vizsla. Like, this has been mine this is my bloodline. And he's thrown off by that. And it's because it's just different teachings from his clan that he's had passed down to him. And like, he had armor too before, and I'm kind of curious where that came from and what that was made of. Does everyone in this clan, how do they come about their armor, and how is that different from others? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of curious where that goes. Maybe we get more of that, more of the Mandalorian lore itself, than just. I mean, I'm happy to have more Clone Wars and Rebel stuff. Like, I love those, but I'm curious where we go.
Well, that actually that's a point I want to touch on real quick, is that Filoni is probably trying to solve some continuity problems within the Mandalorian show, because I heard that they're doing a sequel Rebels show coming up, and there's also the Bad Batch show coming up that's also going to be set post Clone Wars. So there's a bunch of continuity to set up, and I think one thing they're kind of taking advantage of is making some of the, like, because Cobb Vanth was a novel guy. He was from one of the novels before Force Awakens, and Bo-Katan and those Mandalorians were cartoon characters. So kind of taking advantage of this time to turn them into real characters, real actors that people can see and be interested in the future, whether they're going to be animated or whether they're going to be live action. And they're going to do the same thing with Ahsoka. So, and like, Ahsoka is probably going to be part of whatever the search for Ezra is, et cetera, off into the horizon. I feel like there's just like a whole lot of setup potential, and you're going to have a lot of stuff cross over, which may, initially confuse some folks. But I hope, and I think Filoni's smart enough to sort those things out before they become a problem.
I interject here a thought, which is, everything you said sounds great. as a person that looks at this and goes, I would be very happy to see Cobb Vanth become a thing that is more than a novel. I would be very happy to see my investment in multiple seasons of Ahsoka Tano all the way through Rebels pay off in live action. But there are people that have watched 10 episodes of The Mandalorian up until episode 3 and thought, great, I watched those first 4 movies, or those first 6 movies, let's say, or those, I've watched all 9 of those movies, and then I watched this Mandalorian show, and that's really cool for me to get. And they watched this and they were dumbfounded. Like, what did I see here? Who are all these people that they're talking about? Who's Ahsoka Tano? Like, they say the name like you're supposed to know who it is. Or a lot of people, I think, got the feeling that they didn't know. They knew enough to know that they didn't know something was going on. Mm-hmm. It was just tweaked enough for them to know they were out of the loop. Versus before, when you saw characters show up, it was like, I remember seeing that type of character. But
yeah, I mean, it sounds like Drew had a thought there.
Well, do you think that? Just real quick. I mean, do you think that when Bo-Katan and her people introduced themselves, that you could have gone with just that and not worried about backstory and just known that they were different Mandalorians and that was their thing, and they were going to go try and bring back Mandalore, which wasn't what Din Djarin's interested in. So they're just different Mandalorians with a different arc. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I could be prepared to let that go.
I think
You know,
I think there's a level of awareness in watching it, and certain people said, "Oh, okay, there's more Mandalorians. I don't really get it what she's talking about," but they left, so whatever. Din's not alone, and he doesn't take off his helmet, but they do. And that kind of lightly panned out, but like the way it was shot, it was very intimate when they're in that cockpit of like her downloading Din on like this is very important. You go to this planet and you talk to this person, and like that started to kick the wheels into gear for that like mid-range of people that knew something about Star Wars, that like, I'm being left out of something here. And I wonder if the Mandalorian skews a direction here of, okay, like Drew, you were just saying, we've got other shows to set up and we're going to use the Mandalorian to do it. That's not what people signed up for the first round of episodes. I don't think they were set up to be like, oh, this is a bridge show to another show. Okay, I see. Like,
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna.
Yeah, that's fair. I could totally see that.
Like if
I can
Ahsoka
see
Tano
it.
takes the child, and that's the end of it, and like if you care about that, go watch Rebels 2. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it becomes a show about Mandalorians and he goes off with Bo-Katan and people don't need to know the backstory because over the next season they talk about Mandalorians or whatever. It's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people. I think they're stuck with the baby.
Yeah, they're gonna have that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think also just for show wise, he doesn't think the child. The question then too is, do we foresee any type of time jump, or that are we just because the child's gonna? I mean, it's aged only 50 years, and it's to this point. At what point do we jump 50 years? Like, where does how long do we expect the Mandalorian to go for another 3 seasons, and then we're just gonna have the same little child until they do the Mandalorian season or series 2, and it's a time jump like Battlestar Galactica, like 5 years later.
No.
Then just like then the thing is too, because Din add another 50 years on Din. If he survives as a Mandalorian for another 50 years, which is questionable because they don't get to be too old because of their lifestyle, we see 100-year-old teenager, the child, and I don't know, because that's the thing. It's like I'm definitely curious to your point of like when people who are on the outside watching, and they, like you said, they watched the 9 movies, so they probably didn't watch Rogue One, they didn't watch Solo, they just like, I watched the Star Wars, they're fine, and then they enjoy this, but they're losing all these other connective threads. I mean, my brain just says, then go find those other threads, go watch Rebels, go like that's me, because
I introduced you as the guy that watched all the TV. That's what I said.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, I don't see why they. I mean, I know why they wouldn't, because it's 10 seasons of a show and another 5 over here or 4 over here. It's a lot.
Arguably, a lot of which is unimportant and or bad.
Arguably, some could disagree. I'm not saying there's definitely some of it that I just do not need to see anything.
Or there's actually I just figured out a thing that solves it for everybody.
Oh, here you go.
Maybe it's all just play for the people that are into this stuff, and it doesn't mean anything. Maybe Bo-Katan's not coming back.
I really
Maybe
hope
we're going to see Ahsoka. Yeah.
There's a formula they established in the first season, and it seems to be happening again. Big character, big character, big character. Right? So you've got Cobb Vanth, you've got Bo-Katan, take a break, you introduce one more, and then you've got 2 episodes left to bring back everybody and have your big finale.
What about Boba Fett at the end of episode 1?
There you go.
So that's what, 2 more episodes from now?
Oh, God, I forgot that.
Plus you got Ming-Na Wen somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
His face. You get...
I my biggest desire, and this is outside of character knowledge, some of the stuff that that an actress has been saying externally politically has been a little bit questionable to me, and I'm like, you know what, if that character didn't come back for another season, I'd be okay. We just have Ming Na Wen be here and I'm much happier. So like that's why I'm like, yes, Ming Na Wen, I'd love her for the multitude of things that she's done. So
I don't
let's
think you
bring her back.
go. I don't think you go 3 episodes, and you bring back Grief Karga and Cara Dune at the end of this. It seems like a stretch to go like a whole season and then be like, ah, yeah, bring him back. And it's not undoable, but like the formula is the same. I don't know. The formula could be the same, and it seems like you wouldn't bring an actor like Timothy Olyphant, right? Or a Ming Na Wen or a Tamura Morrison, or you create the list. Like Katie Sackhoff doesn't show up for 28 minutes of screen time, not even.
What about the captain of that ship who we've seen from? I mean, he's a recognizable actor, but he's just gonna off himself. And spoilers for episode 3.
He's a recognizable. That's the thing, though. That's the what'd you call him? What's
sacrificial lamb?
Yeah. No. What's the character's name? The X-wing pilot for Greg Grunberg's pilot's name.
Oh, Snap Wexley.
Yeah, Snap. That's the Snap Wexley role. That's the hey. We need a Imperial pilot. Like, but like throw some feelers out there for people that are really into Star Wars, and that's the guy that shows up, right? Like, oh hey, I recognize him. Oh, he's dead. Oh well, it's fine. But the people that live, the Cobb Vance and all that, I get the feeling it's a repeat situation of like he's got to build his crew and use his crew, right? And so same formula as last season. Next episode won't, in my opinion, be the big reveal of Boba Fett. You got to wait another one, right? And then after that, you got to have your finale. Although, wait, maybe Ahsoka Tano, right? Oh. You got Ahsoka Tano next episode?
Well, that's my buddy who I talk a lot of Star Wars with actually says there's a good chance we may not see Ahsoka till the end of the thing. There's always an obstacle.
Right, he can't get there right away, right? He can't go straight there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ahsoka Tano is 2 episodes from now, right? Mm-hmm. So the big oopsie, maybe you see her face at the end of next one. Then you got Ahsoka Tano's episode. Then you've got Boba Fett's episode, maybe, or another break. You're already at episode 6. There's only 2 more.
I
don't think there's enough time for this to be what people think it is. I think Drew's right. I think this was a moment for some people to feel lost and a lot of fans to feel good.
Hell yeah.
And it did make me feel good.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had invested that time, right? Like, I knew this show was coming. I knew Disney Plus had just come and they were adding that Clone Wars thing. And I said, I want to get back into Star Wars. I'm going to watch that Clone Wars thing. And the payoff is there. So the fans are happy. If they are able to steer the ship here so that people that were like, I don't know, get back, and I think they're good.
I got to thread that needle.
Yeah, just very much so. Yeah.
And then I also need a.
Plus, if they bring back Boba Fett. Oh, sorry. I was going to say real quick, if they bring back Boba Fett, that's going to make up for the fans that were confused by Bo-Katan just getting to see Boba Fett be alive.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. I've had this discussion with some people who did not know who Tamura was, the actor.
Oh, yeah.
And so I never said, did you see Boba Fett at the end? I always said, who do you think that person is at the end of the first episode? And almost exclusively, if they had read the internet or they were huge fans of Star Wars, they guessed, they went through the rigmarole of who it could be, and then they said Boba Fett. Aside from that, people were like, I don't know. Like, I didn't even notice that guy at the end. Right?
Those are the type of people who just they're dead in a zombie apocalypse. They don't have the common sense to look around.
Well, no, it's like it was a throwaway. It's just like the Ming Na, and when I keep saying that Ming Na is there, right? Like they're like, what about that person from last season? They're like, what are you talking about? So
these are the people who leave during the credits of a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
We need to let these people go.
I still think it
all-
could be a head fake and that it's a clone. I've still got this much hope.
I mean, I don't think that
I know
because
you
there's
don't,
so much
and I know I'm
going
wrong.
the other way.
Look,
You're not-
clearly
you know,
it's not a
yeah.
clone, but it would be a cool
You're
head
like,
fake. But they'd have too
maybe-
much. They'd have to explain too much. All right.
Yeah.
Episode 3. Any more thoughts anybody needs to throw out there? Man, it's so good to talk about it.
I need a Bo-Katan figure.
That's, I was exactly saying that today.
There is no Bo-Katan Clone Wars figure.
Yeah, I mean the 3 3/4. Not Black
Yeah,
Series.
but now we're gonna get an actual Katie Sackhoff likeness.
Yeah,
You know.
Black Series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, Toy Time is next time we record, and there's a lot. Okay.
If we do Toy Time, we got to wrap things up.
Yeah.
But if we do a Toy Time, you wanted to talk about SH figure arts, and you wanted to talk about other things.
I do.
Drew has several of them
Do you?
behind him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got my IG-11 today.
Is that a
actually.
SH
Just, came
IG-11
in the
with the
mail.
baby attached?
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if you can.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is why I want the SH
Super
figure arts.
badass.
This right here is why I want to sell all my black figures and buy SH figure arts ones, because look at that. You can attach the baby that comes with another set to multiple sets.
But they're doing that with the deluxe one too, though, for Black Series. They're gonna come. It has a little pouch. So, but gentlemen,
Toy Time.
I thank you for this discussion. Yeah. Toy Time.
Toy Time is next time. Thank you very much, everybody, for showing up, and I'm really glad we talked about it and we got through Kit's ideas, except for that he's now in love with Moff Gideon, which I think he'll have to explain next time he's on, because I'm not going to vouch for that statement. Drew, where can people check you out, my friend? I know you have a bunch of places we can look at your art, like Twitter and stuff like that.
Yeah, nice thing is all my stuff is just under Drew E. Johnson. So Twitter, Drew E. Johnson, Instagram, Drew E. Johnson. Same thing with Facebook. I'm real easy to find.
Cool. And there's a lot of fun stuff on there. I like the was it Miss Marvel you recently did?
Oh, the color piece?
Yeah, the
or
color piece. Your color exploration with Miss Marvel was really great.
Thanks. That was the very first thing I've ever colored that I actually liked.
Nice.
It was a huge
Awesome.
leap.
Ken, Comic Banter, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, find us at just same as Drew. They're all the same: Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at Comic Banter. You can hear us talk about comic stuff. Currently, we're going through trading cards. Drew's been on a number of episodes. Definitely check us out. And yeah, that's it for me right now.
Right on. If you have any questions about Star Wars, send them to podcast@weweregamers.com. Put carbon scoring in the subject field. We're everywhere. And lambast me for my bad knowledge of where the Darksaber went. We'll talk to you all next time. Thanks, everybody.